Good morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. And in the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
Good morning, everyone. So our guest minister has a story today, and I am going to read it. Our story today is called Sheila Ray the Brave by Kevin Henkes. And it starts like this. Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder. She wasn't afraid of lightning. She wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. At dinner, Sheila Ray made believe that all the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of bears, and she ate 5 of them. At school, Sheila Ray just giggled when the principal walked by, and when her classmate Wendell stole her jump rope during class, Sheila Ray tied him up until the bell rang. I am very brave, Sheila Ray said, patting herself on the back. Sheila Ray stepped on every single crack in the sidewalk without any fear. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in her closet, Sheila Ray attacked it. She rode her bicycle no-handed with her eyes closed. Her friends said, yeah, Sheila Ray. They clapped and yelled. And one day, Sheila Ray decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. You're too brave for me, Louise said. You are always such a scaredy cat, Sheila Ray said. Am not, whispered Louise. Sheila Ray started off skipping. I am brave, I am fearless, she sang, and she stepped on every single crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at scared stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. She pretended that the trees were scary creatures. Sheila Ray walked and walked. She turned corners. She crossed streets. And maybe this has happened to some of you. It suddenly occurred to her that nothing looked familiar. She looked around. She didn't know where she was, and she heard some frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought some horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she'd ever imagined. Sheila Ray, I am brave. I am fearless. She tried to convince herself, and the sounds became more frightening, and the thoughts became more horrible, and Sheila Ray sat down on a rock and cried. "Help," she sniffed. She thought of her mother and her father and Louise. She cried, "Mother, Father, Louise." And suddenly she heard a little voice. "Here I am." "Louise!" Sheila Ray hugged her sister. "We're lost," said Sheila Ray. Louise said, "No, we're not. I know the way home. Follow me." And on the way, Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at the stray dogs and bared her teeth at the stray cats. And Louise pretended the trees were scary creatures. Sheila Ray walked quickly behind her. They walked, and they walked, and they crossed streets, and they turned corners, and soon their house could be seen between the trees. Sheila Ray grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. When they reached their own yard and the gate closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." And Louise responded, "We both are." And they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. The end.
So once again, welcome to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. We have so much good that's going on in our community. Please check out the West Shore Weekly in your order of service to learn about our current events and how you can be involved. This morning, we are excited to welcome our guest speaker. The Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson is a congregational life, there you go, that's right. Reverend Johnson is a congregational life consultant for the Mid-America region of the Unitarian Universalist Association, working primarily with pastoral-sized congregations across the Midwest. He's also a third-generation Unitarian Universalist, a parent of 2 teenagers, a big nerd, and a lover of faith. He has served in more leadership roles in Unitarian Universalism than a person could shake a stick at, if that's something we did. He served for 5 years as the minister at High Plains UU Church in Colorado Springs, and for the last 17 years as the senior minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford, Illinois, where he completed his service in August of 2025. A graduate of Whitman College, Meadville Lombard Theological School, and I meant to ask you how you say the next one? Iliff School of Theology. He's also the author of Newborn Bards, a theology of preaching for Unitarian Universalists. He's been to all 50 states, walked pilgrimages in Israel, Transylvania, New England, and 560 miles of the Camino de Santiago in Spain. He and Reverend Anthony have been friends since they met on the first day of seminary 26 years ago. Amazing, right? If you are here for the first or second time and you don't mind letting us know, please raise your hand so we can offer a special welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. While our kids go to their classes, let us greet each other warmly, and the greeting time will end with the sounding of the bowl. Today's outreach offering is on behalf of West Shore's Honorarium Fund. The purpose of the Honorarium Fund, administered by the coordinating team, is to provide a source of funding to say thank you to outside professional presenters for times they offer services to our church. Often enough, official West Shore committees, groups, and teams will invite professional presenters to put on a program, but there's no money in the annual budget to thank them. Understandably so, opportunities will come up that no one could have foreseen when the annual budget is set. Today's outreach offering is an opportunity for you to replenish the Honorarium Fund so that the coordinating team can support future initiatives that will truly make a difference. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. Thank you.
Good morning. It's great to be with you again. I think the last time I spoke from this space was at Anthony's installation service some years ago, and it's a pleasure to be back with you this morning. Got two readings this morning. The first is an excerpt from the book of Esther in the Hebrew Scriptures. The story here is that when Cyrus, the great king of Persia, destroyed the Babylonian Empire, many of the Jews who had been in exile in Babylon were allowed to go home, and which they did, and they returned to the Levant, but many stayed in the Persian Empire, which was a model at the time of religious tolerance and acceptance, since Cyrus had many different religions in his kingdom and was happy to have the Jews stay in Persia. 120 years later, one of the kings who was there was not so sure, and he had an advisor who was convincing him that all of the problems in the kingdom were the fault of these Jews who had stayed, these foreigners and strangers who were in their kingdom, and they should be blamed and persecuted for all of the problems that were happening in the kingdoms. Does this sound familiar? His wife dies, the queen dies, and so the king is looking for a new queen and selects Esther, a Jewish orphan whose uncle, Mordecai, is a leader in the Jewish community in this place, in the palace town, which is in modern-day Iran and Persia at the time, as the new queen. But the advisor has convinced the king that the Jews are to be persecuted, and he has issued an order saying this. Our story begins. When Mordecai learned of all that had been done, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the city, wailing loudly and bitterly. But he only went so far as the king's gate, because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter it. In every province to which the edict and order of the king came, there was a great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's eunuchs and female attendants came and told her about Mordecai, she was in great distress. She'd been isolated. She didn't know about the edict yet. She sent clothes for him to put on instead of a sackcloth, but he would not accept them. Then Esther summoned Hattak, one of the king's eunuchs, and assigned to attend to her, and ordered him to find out what was troubling Mordecai and why. So Hattak went back and reported to Esther what Mordecai had said. Then she instructed him to say to Mordecai, all of the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they be put to death, unless the king extends the gold scepter to them and spares their lives. But 30 days have passed since I was called to go to the king. See, Mordecai had asked her, you are the queen. Go to the king. Convince him to spare all of us. She said, me, I can't. I haven't been asked to speak up. I can't go. And he says, you should go. When Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, I can't go, he sent back this answer, do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for us will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have been made for such a time as this. The second reading is by Michelle Mills. It's called Inhabiting the World. It was written last fall. It begins with a quote from the author Rebecca Solnit, who writes, the bigness of the world is its redemption. Despair compresses you into a small space, and a depression is literally a hollow in the ground. To dig deeper into the self, to go underground, is sometimes necessary, but so is the other route of getting out of yourself into the larger world, into the openness in which you need not clutch your story and your troubles so tightly to your chest. And then Michelle Mills writes this. For the past year and a half, I've been receiving daily emails from USA Jobs, the employment site of the federal government. I used to receive notices about a huge variety of interesting jobs with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, CDC, Veterans Administration, NOAA, USDA, EPA, Forest Service, along with others. Now the only departments hiring are the Navy, the Air Force, and Homeland Security. It strikes me how clearly this represents this administration's worldview. If all you emphasize is war and defending and expelling, your only relationship with the world is fear and anger and aggression. That recognition stops me in my tracks. At any moment in our lives, we have a choice about how to inhabit the world. We can notice the child needing help, the wonder of salmon spawning in a river where they have not been witnessed for decades, the librarian feeding the curiosity of someone who wants to know about the history of country music or how to build a chicken coop. When I put myself in the shoes of any person who approaches the world with anger and distrust, my body has a physical response. I feel claustrophobic and contracted ready to spring out and destroy anything that comes close because everything is a threat. It feels tense and vigilant, ready to kill and control in order to feel safe. The irony is that no matter how much control it gets, it will never feel safe. Its aggression makes it impossible to notice all the possibilities for beauty and kindness. That's not the way I want to inhabit the world. Sometimes I try to feel what it might be like from the other side. What if I were a salmon fighting my way upstream to lay eggs, or the huge sequoia that's grown for a millennium, or the mushroom growing at the foot of that tree? Every moment, our breath is a powerful antidote to the disembodiment of fear and anger. It's a way to return to ourselves, an invitation to feel our body on the earth and inhale the beauty of existence, to allow that to infuse our very essence, then pause in silent reverence, and then to exhale in sacred offering to all beings. I want to invite you to join in the spirit of prayer and meditation and centering. You might find it useful to shake out your body a little bit, and if they reach the floor, to place your feet there, roll your shoulders back. I find it helpful to place a finger and my thumb together, sometimes to close my eyes, and you might do that too. And breathe in, and hold, and breathe out. Unclench and unconstrict, to inhabit the world and notice our own breath. To resist the rush and tumble. You are here now. Spirit of life and love, wondrous power of many names and no name at all. Help us to breathe deeply the world we share together. To see our neighbor as beloved, the stranger as beloved, ourself as beloved. To know that connections between us are holy and sacred. To notice the beauty in the moment, the sun reflecting on snow, the laughter of a child, the hand of an elder, the story of our hearts, the sound of music in the room, and the grief too, the sorrow and the fear and the longing for a better world that it represents. These sacred and holy signals of how we might live, what we might love, and who we might be. Spirit of life and love, hold us in tender mercy this day and every day. Amen. Thank you. Have you ever had a Sheila Ray lost in the woods moment? I mean, metaphorically or literally. Anybody? Yeah, okay, right. You ever had a time when you thought you were so confident and you knew the way and you knew what to do and you felt, competent and assured that the world was orderly? That, as some of our forebears used to say, you could rely on progress upward and onward forever. You knew the way, and then you found yourself lost in the woods. Have you had this moment? Yeah, see something. I have, that is for sure, and it is so disorienting. I've had these personal moments, maybe you have too, when relationships ended, that's a big one. You think you got it figured out, and woof. Oh. Or when parenting was harder than I thought, and it isn't often harder than we thought it was going to be. I've had a lot of these lost in the woods moments recently. When I think about the world around us, when I read the news, I think, what the? Have you had this feeling? Yeah? As a liberal growing up at the end of the 20th century, when Francis Fukuyama called the end of history, I thought that civil rights was won, that war was over, that democracy was victorious, and that the arc of the universe was almost at its destination. Did you learn something like this too? And here we are. So maybe you're feeling like Sheila Ray, lost in the woods. We were told certain things. And here we are, and those things like fog evaporate. We can't get a handle. Now, some folks, they have been lost in the woods before. They have no illusions, no sense of inevitable progress. In their bones and in their blood, in their history and their present, they know damn well that sometimes the way is blocked, and sometimes you are misled, and they will destroy you if they can, and sometimes they can. No illusions. And that is, I'm sure, some of you. No illusions. You knew to carry a map and a compass, even though that might not save you. And maybe some of you have been lost before, who know the way, who are like Sheila Ray's little sister Louise, who knows how to help and knows the way home. She had become made for such a time as this. Here's my fundamental conviction: we can become made for such a time as this. We can meet this moment. We can become more mature, more wise, more strategic, more brave, not through overconfidence or naive nonsense, or through what some call the audacity, but through depth and spiritual practice, through deeper courage of heart, through letting go and becoming, through transformation and love. We can become made for such a time as this. We can learn to keep on loving boldly. Now, Esther had to summon her courage and be shaped by her faith in her family and her conscience and through practice. And then she goes from this story, she does go before the king, and she asks for her people to be protected, and she is persuasive. She is successful. But it could have gone the other way, and often does. Like she said, the penalty for going without being summoned was death, but she went anyway. She was terrified that such asking would destroy her, but she came to know that she was made for such a time as this, that what she had learned and done and loved had made her ready for that moment. A few weeks ago, I was in Minneapolis with hundreds of other Unitarian Universalists and other clergy and religious leaders. We gathered to be in solidarity with those who had become made for such a time as this, who had learned in a few short weeks, drawing on their faith and their practice, their neighbors, the history of organizing from 2020 and before. They had met the moment and are continuing to do so. It is still happening. They have summoned their courage and their compassion, and they sang, "Never Turning Back." and reminded us that the people are more than power and that we can say no and we can keep each other safe, that resistance matters. They also reminded us that cold is a state of mind. 25 below when we marched across the city. And they reminded us that together we can build a better world. They met the moment, and I was so inspired, enraged that they needed to do what they were doing, but reminded that we can become equal to this moment and that it matters. We're using the phrase meet the moment to talk about this together as Unitarian Universalists, and the first question that we're asking is, what is the moment? What is happening? And my sense is that there are three massive forces shaping this moment for Unitarian Universalist congregations and leaders. The first big trend is, well, fascism. Rising authoritarianism is not just in the United States, but around the world, and the trend is not brand new, and it is not, unfortunately, just about one spray-tanned octogenarian. It is good, by the way, to make fun of authoritarians. It robs them of their longed-for mystique. Put on the frog suit, sing the songs, make the jokes, sing songs of resistance. We did sing songs of resistance in Minneapolis, and I love the one that goes, "It's okay to change your mind." They sang that outside the hotel that the agents are staying in. It's okay to change your mind. We choose joy, not resignation or cruel hatred. A few months ago, I would say that my significant critique of too many so-called opposition politicians and supposedly independent institutions is that they were sleepwalking in the woods, convinced that all will be fine, that history was over and this was just a blip. But I don't think that's true anymore. We're realizing that Cassandra was right when she warned us that doom was imminent if we did not rally to the moment, that we were lost in the woods, and that we needed to turn to those who knew the way home, because they are among us, the scholars and the activists of mass resistance, and they tell us what to do, and it's not complicated. Build community, know one another, care for one another, get ready. Which takes me to the second big trend: loneliness, isolation, declining habits of volunteerism and participation and connection. This is not new, but every year it seems to get worse. We've been bowling alone for quite a while now. People are lonely. Making friends as adults is really hard. There are less clubs and activities, and folks are busy, and they sit in their cars commuting and watch shows and post about it, but connect with other people, not as much. I read once that the real miracle of Jesus was not him walking on water or healing the sick or even rising from the dead. It's that a man in his 30s had 12 friends. "11, I guess, but still. Now, I've told that joke before, and some people get the 11, I guess reference, and some don't, but most of you seem to get it, which tells me Anthony's doing a good job of biblical education for you. There are, though, these shoots of new life in this field of loneliness. The young mom who says, "Let's hang out at the playground after pickup and talk." The single professional who overcomes social anxiety and goes to trivia night. The empty nesters who move to a retirement community and start going to all the various activities that are offered. The teenager who gets off their phone and plays Dungeons and Dragons with their friends in person. And the folks who show up at a church, wondering, hoping, will someone here know me? Will they guide me when I'm lost in the woods? Will they care about me? The third big trend is spiritual hunger. It is this. It is openness. It is a longing for more than this, for meaning, for something larger than material existence, a longing to inhabit the world, to be alive, to drink deeply from the well, to dance and read poetry and get off the hamster wheel, to love the earth and its creatures. There is this longing, this heart desire. It started before COVID, but I have seen it even more since, a sense that we want more authentic, more real, more loving, more alive for ourselves and for our children. That this day-to-day, mundane, obey in advance, punch the card and move on, that this life isn't what we are for. It's not what we're made for. What were we made for? To feel, to be alive. These three trends present for us, the inheritors of a great liberal and liberating tradition of love and courage and justice. They present for us a moment of opportunity and of peril, a time to be brave, not foolish, but honestly brave, to shape ourselves for this moment. We cannot stay on the surface. We cannot perform community or authenticity. We have to go to the woods and get lost together, to be vulnerable and real and inhabit the world. To meet this moment, our congregations and our leaders will need to have a little Sheila Ray and a little Louise. We need to admit that we're lost and we don't know the way. I'm not impressed with folks who tell us the one magic trick or the one essential thing. We need to be curious. We need to throw away the old map. It was never the territory anyway. Now is the time to meet the moment, to speak out against fascism, to be an antidote to loneliness, to feed spiritual hunger. Now is the time. Folks are coming to many of our congregations right now because they hunger. They hunger for connection, for meaning, and for a base from which to resist the power of hatred and division and evil. Is that why you're here? Yes. The real reason, because you hunger for something more? Yeah. We hunger to inhabit the world, to turn away from aggressive reaction to something deeper, something beautiful, something worth living for. And the question, I think, is this. Are we offering a way of life that will honor and meet and nourish that hunger in this time? Community that's real, struggle that's sustainable, love that's alive? Are we willing to go where there is no map and we will get lost? Are we willing to follow someone else home? Are we willing to cross the borders that people in power want us to make between each other? Are we willing to meet our neighbor where they are and suspend our confidence that we already have all of the answers? It is a time for bravery. Strategic, accountable, faithful bravery, never turning back. It is a time for generosity, deep, transformative, multifaceted generosity to keep on loving boldly. It is a time for curiosity of our own heart, about our neighbors, about what is growing still under the earth. Keep on moving forward. And it is a time for love, to answer its call, to be summoned by its demand, to know that there's always more, to choose to bless this world. This is the good news. We are not already made for such a time as this, but we can become made for such a time as this. We can practice the habits of inhabiting the world. We can love more than power or being right. We can open our hearts and our doors and try new things. We can do this because love, capital L, love, is, thank God, larger than we can imagine, larger than our past, larger than our fears, larger than any one of us by ourselves. This is the good news. There is enough love for everyone. It flows there right under the surface. The well is not dry. There is more love. We have a choice to bless or curse the world, to flee from or inhabit the world, to get lost so we might get found, or pretend we know where we are going, to go it alone or to go it together. It is my prayer that we meet this moment with wise bravery, with open hearts, with water for parched souls. It is my prayer that we open our own hearts to the pain and the longing and the fear and the love that is right there, right below the surface. And when we feel our own despair, our own love, our own hunger, we will see it and honor it and know it and make room for it in the souls of one another. This is the way. There is no other way but love and community and authentic longing, named aloud and encouraged. There is no other way. This is the good news. The love we need to meet this moment is reliable and powerful and surprising and not in our control and enough. It is more than enough. When we get lost and admit we need more than us, more than what we think we already know, that love will come and lead us home. We're going to sing together, There Is More Love. This is an African-American spiritual, a song of freedom. It deserves to be sung with full voice, so I invite you to rise in body and or in spirit. Let's sing together loudly, There Is More Love. The words of our benediction from the poet Denise Levertov. Don't say, there is no water to solace the dryness at our hearts. I have seen the fountain springing out of the rock wall, and you drinking there, and I too, before your eyes, found footholds and climbed to drink the cool water. The woman of that place, shading her eyes, frowned as she watched, but not because she grudged the water, only because she was waiting to see we drank our fill and were refreshed. Don't say, there is no water. The fountain is there among its scalloped green and gray stones, and it is still there and always there, with its quiet song and strange power to spring in us up and out through the rock.
But not the light of truth, or of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again.